My name is Jacob Steffanich. I am the quality control manager here at SSDi. I sort of make sure that everything goes out on time, looking good, functioning the way it's supposed to work. So there's no hiccups in the line, so to speak, between production starting and leaving our facility. So when I come in, first I go to the guys and I get them all started on whatever jobs that they're going to be working on for that day or that week. And then I kind of go through each job and make sure that each one is on track or schedule to make sure that that's going to get to that finished product in a timely manner so that we're not overscheduled. And then I just kind of go through and make sure that each job is looking good, make sure that each job is put together the correct way, that they're all the exact same, so there's no differences between, one job and the next. So that, if it's a Walmart, for instance, it looks exactly the same between Walmart number 1 and Walmart number 5. So the biggest thing is just going through each day at the start and just making sure that each project is on track. For instance, one job could take 5 days. So at the start of day 1, you should know, obviously, nothing started. But at day 3, when I go and check at the beginning of the day, I need to make sure that that job is at least at a certain point on that day 3 so that it only needs 2 more days to finish. If I go over there on day 3 and it looks to the, should be like, it's day 1 progress, then either I need to put another guy on it to speed up process, or we might need to talk to the guy who's working on it and ask him, is there problems? Are you finding hiccups that are slowing you down? And then that goes right into sort of making sure it's aesthetically the way it's supposed to be. I mean, the reason he might be going slow is because, for instance, he might be working with feeders, which are very, very thick wires. They're hard to work with your hands to make them look pretty, aesthetically pleasing, to make sure that they're all going in the right direction. Don't want them to look very messy. So small gauge wires, like a 20 gauge or something like that, that's maybe, pencil lead thickness, is very easy to manipulate, whereas the feeder, being more like, a hot dog per se, that one is much harder to bend and sort of get to that quality that it needs to be. So that, for instance, takes a little bit while, but in the grand scheme of things, if they're not on schedule, then I can put another guy with them and we can still speed up production to make sure that that job goes out on day 5 the way it's supposed to look and on schedule. We like it because when it gets there, we want them to open up the door for the first time when they're going in there to wire it up and power up the C-store. There's no confusion. The wires are all in the correct spot. You can see where they're all going. Sometimes you open up, electronical panel and the wires are everywhere. It's like a spider web. You can't tell what anything's going where, and it looks messy. So the way that we do it, it looks clean. So when they open it up, it's just simple, it's intuitive on where those wires are going and where your wires should be, so that the setup process at the store is smoother. I would say the company culture here is much like a family. I mean, we're a small company, so everyone knows each other's names, everyone knows what people like to do and what they do with their time off. Everyone's kind of invested in each other's lives. Like all those guys out there that I work with, I know obviously all of their names, but I also know, what they like to do on their free time and what their favorite snack is and where they go to lunch and like stuff like that, whereas I feel like a bigger company is far less like that. I think SSDi is very good about giving you the time you need to go home and spend time with your family or take a vacation, just clear your head a little bit. I think they're good about not forcing you or pressuring you, I would say, to come into work every single day and be there 8 hours a day. Like if you need a day off here, they understand, they'll let you to get off. If some family issue comes up and you just need to be with them at the moment, then again, they just completely understand. There's no problem taking those extra days off to ensure that, your work and your life are both still good. So I think one of the biggest things is as you're building a cabinet, we always look for ways to improve and make it either look nicer or have the functionality be better, or save space. I mean, it is space saver distribution. So as you're going through a cabinet, we could say like, day 3 process, it's sitting at this point, but we might think, okay, it might be a better way to do this. So it's encouraged to bring those ideas up so that we can talk about it and then maybe improve the product as it goes. So the product is always improving just because of those things. Like I might see something, or one of the guys might see something, and then it's brought up to the attention of one of the owners or the shop managers. That's the way it's done now. That's in production. Every other one after that will then have that change to it. So I think it's important that that keeps happening. Yeah, so one of the times that I think that's out of the box is right now Maverick is kind of redoing their designs. So some of the things that they had set up in their cabinets, they just don't anymore. Or they have some components that they decide to take out and do themselves, and some components that they want us to do now. So all the designs for those 4 cabinets, even though in theory it is still 4 cabinets and they still need fueling and they still need panels, they would like other things in there as well. So now everything kind of gets moved around in different spots. So now that that's happening, we kind of just had to not scrap the old Maverick. We still have it, of course, but we now had to create like a whole new set of Maverick. So, it's fun. You get to get in there, mess around with it, make sure everything works the way it's supposed to work. But, it kind of takes away from the monotony of building the same thing over and over and over again. So I think one of the coolest things about working with the team that I have is that they're all young guys. So they're all very impressionable. They all want to improve. They all want to prove themselves, so to speak. So sometimes when you go into a job and you have a bunch of veterans that are stuck in their ways, it's hard to kind of bring them together and show them, we're all on the same path. They all want to do their own thing. With this group of guys, it's all young. We have a very good culture out there. So it's very easy to direct them as one unit going all the same direction, because they all want to build the same quality of thing. They all want to do the same quality of work. So when they're all put out there together, they kind of mesh, where I feel like I said, like veterans, they just kind of splay out. They think their way is best. Whereas this one, they don't know which way to go. So it's very easy to bring them all together and, point them all in the right direction. So one of the biggest people I collaborate with is Saul. He does all of our drawings. He prints the stickers that go inside of the cabinets. So I get with him, and obviously I'm out there in the shop taking the measurements, making sure everything fits the way it's supposed to go. And then I get with Saul, and me and him go over how the drawing should look for the guys. We make sure it looks simple enough to where they can understand it, but not too simple to where there's measurements that are left out and left to interpretation. So I get together with him on almost a daily basis and kind of go over those books. There's always corrections or improvements almost every day. So I always kind of get with him, and then we kind of build those books together. Well, I think right now we just had a show and tell, so to speak, for the WPMA conference that's in town. It's at the Mirage. So we had a bunch of our vendors, like from around town, just like down the street, the people that we get our cabinets from, or people we order breakers from, to corporate leaders such as like Sam's Club or Walmart. They come and they like to see where their stuff is being put together. So we get new customers that come in, kind of see what we're doing, and then we still we want to give back to the people who are helping us out here, giving us our supplies to build the things that we do. So it kind of gives us a chance to open up our doors and show everyone kind of what we're doing here. I think one of the biggest qualities that you need to come in here is just an open mind. I think when you come in, you need to not necessarily forget what you know, but we do things a certain way, and there's a reason that we do them. So I think people who come in thinking that they know best, they've been doing this for 10 plus years, yada, 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 they do not need, our input. Those people just kind of usually clog up production. There's always a hitch. There's always like, oh, Jake, why don't we do it like this? Oh, Jake, why don't we do it like that? Which is fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy to field ideas and stuff like that. But if you think your way or the highway, then it just doesn't go along. So I think one of the biggest things to succeed here is you come in, you have an open mind, you're like, okay, I see why you're doing it this way, and that's fine if you want to improve on that way. I just don't want you to come in here thinking your way is the best way when it's your first day. You need to be very detail oriented to build our cabinets. I mean, there's a lot of little pieces, little screws, little wires that need to go all in the right spot. I mean, if one's out of place, it literally is like finding a needle in a haystack sometimes, because you have a group of wires that's, this big around, and you have to find this one that's going into the wrong spot. So I think detail oriented for sure. And you also need to care about what things look like. Like if you're putting things together in your life and, you're building, I don't know, an IKEA piece of furniture and you're missing this and it looks crooked and yada, 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 and you're happy with that, I don't necessarily think this is where you should be, because you're going to be happy with it, it's going to get to me, and I'm not going to be happy with it, and we're going to have to go back and redo it. So I think someone who takes pride in what they work on, someone who takes pride in what they do, is a very important quality to have out there, because, like I said, it needs to look a certain way. And if you're okay with good enough, then 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be good enough.